Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you of the scripture I read this morning, and you can always go through the other scriptures I read before this. It says, "Depart from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore, for the Lord loves judgment and does not forsake his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off." Just want you to remember all those scripture I've been reading all along. Okay? First of all, I want to make a big shout out to Justice League Unite, a Facebook group. If you are on Facebook and you love Justice League, go to this group. Join it. Because you will love being in this group. We're right now 88 members strong. And that's a small size army, believe you me. Anyway, let's move on. Now, I wanted to feature this. This comes from John King. And this is because Mark Hughes made this mistake, and a lot of other people make mistakes concerning film universes. John King says this: DC Films, a beautiful truth. Marvel's universe is why the rushing myth started. And it is a myth. However, a huge reason why the DC film universe isn't rushed in any way, shape, or form is because of its unique nature created by Snyder's structuring and symmetry. It's not a group of films linked together by its characters like Marvel. It's linked together by its ideology, themes, and symbology, which is cohesive throughout each movie. And he goes on to say, what people fail to realize about shared universes is connectivity is diverse. There are all kinds of ways a movie universe can connect. It is not always about a bunch of solo movies done before a team movie. We've had team movies for decades in cinema. It's about creativity, people, jobs, nature, relationships, etc. All connect in different ways. Movies are no different. Trilogies, sequels, spin-offs, and shared universes started in the 40s with the monster movies. Marvel showed us a way, not the only way. This post isn't about tearing down Marvel. It's about contrast and diversity. Well done by John King once again. How he succinctly put that. And that's basically what I'm saying that Mark Hughes misunderstood. Also, Mark Hughes has been looking at projected trends. And I have been saying all along, as Donald Trump said as well, and that's why Donald Trump won the election, as I've been saying all along, you can't just look at projected trends. Something influences a trend. What you really have to look at is what's happening on the ground. If you just look at trends, you will find yourself sometimes surprised at what is happening. People were surprised at what happened with Suicide Squad. People were surprised at what happened with, I believe it was Batman v Superman. And there was no reason to be surprised. They thought that Batman v Superman would fail. They thought Suicide Squad would fail because they had great second weekend drop-offs. Now, Justice League is no different. It has suffered much more than Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad in the sense that it's come off at a humongously rocky start. Its opening weekend is not tremendous. It came off to an extremely rocky start with a very small opening weekend because of all the damage done in terms of PR damage to it. And so far, if you think about it, this movie, no one's really criticizing this movie for what it is. Very few people. Most people are criticizing this movie for what was left out of it and the rumors and gossip and intrigue about that. They're not criticizing the movie on its merits, which is very important for you to understand. And then the illogical nature of the thing is people are demanding something that's not there and don't understand that the movie that's there is the key to getting what they want. And it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. It's a solid movie. It's a great movie. And I'll tell you why it's great. Not great in terms of its filmography per se. Great in terms of the idea that it represents. and that it through and through represents coming together. From the actual production of it, to the actual message in the characters of it, to the reflection of society. This movie is through and through a very important movie in the movie franchise. And again, I put out this call to Zack Snyder to go watch this movie. And then after he's finished watching it, he may cry, he may feel different kinds of ways as he's going through it, because it's a journey. And it was a commitment of many years before this movie could come to fruition. But at the end of the day, I think this movie is going to be a catharsis for Zack Snyder, whether he believes it or not. Putting it off is not necessarily a good thing. I want him to see the final product. I want him to see what came of this collaboration. A collaboration, for those people who don't understand, collaborations never go exactly how you plan them to go. They're collaborations, and there are other variables involved. And the way how this collaboration came out, there's a lot of things I want to say about this movie, but I have to take my time and put it together. But the way how this collaboration came about is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a mixture of old and new. And the more I watch this movie, the more I appreciate it and the symbology involved. That goes beyond Zack Snyder's way of storytelling to something even deeper, something even greater. And I don't care how they came about to put this movie together, whether they were squabbling or infighting or whatever, they ended up doing it. And I think this movie represents something so potent that we must not allow this movie to just disappear quietly into the night. We must let people know the kind of value in this movie. Now, the critics, they cut down this movie. They said some very, very harsh, shallow things about this movie. But I can tell you for a fact, this movie was not only a move in the right direction, but this movie is a hopeful movie in so many different ways. The possibilities that come out of this movie are ridiculous. Let me explain just briefly what this movie means. This movie sets up a collaboration between Marvel and DC down the road. That's the first thing. It shows that a Marvel tone can be mixed with a DC tone and still keep that grittiness and keep that realism. In other words, Marvel characters can be introduced into the DC universe, no problems. Because the DC universe can deal with every spectrum of character. From a comical character to a serious character, they can all fit into this universe. Hear me out again. Listen to what I'm saying. Because the potential is the hope. This movie also showed that a Marvel director can work along with a DC director on a movie project. It also shows that a Marvel head like Kevin Feige could work with a DC head like Jeff Johns and put together a movie. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully why this is so important. This is why it must succeed. All my Marvel fans out there, Infinity War. I never said a bad word about Infinity War, and I never will. I'm not interested in it because it's not my cup of tea, but you never know. My mind can change as time goes along. So don't take it the hard way, Marvel fans. But Marvel fans, you have to understand the potential of Justice League, not only benefiting DC but benefiting Marvel, is immense. And you would be a fool to attack this film. And this is the time, folks. This is the time right here, right now. This is the time for you to show your power. All the fans of this movie, this weekend is the time. It built up to this point, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Now, Warner Brothers apparently don't know what they have in their hands. If they only knew what they had in their hands. But we the fans know. We the fans know. I love Zack Snyder. I love Zack Snyder. But I think this is the pinnacle of his achievement. This collaboration between him and Joss Whedon has done everything that he wanted to do with the DCEU. And while I have to agree, Justice League is not as good a movie as Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut, and even dare I say Batman v Superman the theatrical cut, different people will dispute that, it is the second best DCEU movie in this universe. It is, without a doubt. It separates itself from Wonder Woman, it separates itself from Man of Steel, and it separates itself from Suicide Squad. Why I'm saying this is because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a historic moment in time. I told you that this is the turning of the tide. This week is the turning of the tide for this movie. And a lot of you didn't understand what I was saying, because you see that scripture I just read is true. It is not a lie. The truth always comes out to light, and lies and gossip and rumors and all pettiness will wither away like chaff, blown away like ashes. Let's go to Justice League box office. We're going to look at the daily box office for Justice League first of all. So the daily box office for Justice League, as of Thursday, it is at $1,083 it made Thursday, domestically. Wednesday before it made $1,117. The Tuesday before that, it made $1,719, and the Monday, $1,138. This movie stayed above $1 million this week. It actually finally held. It was plummeting week after weekend. Not at a tremendous plummet rate, but it was plummeting. And it's finally held its ground. I told you this is the turning of the tide. You guys didn't listen to me. The tide's about to turn. But now is the time. Now is the time for fans of comic book movies to flex their muscles. I want the companies to understand they're not the ones that generate the money. We, the fans, do it. And this is the hour for fans both of Marvel and DC to flex their muscles on this movie. Worldwide, globally, flex your muscles and warp the trends that they have predicted. Now, the predictions for this weekend are as follows. I went to Cinephile, which is Spanish Cinephile. And Spanish Cinephile, all of this is in Spanish. If you want to read it in Spanish, that's fine. But they predicted that Coco will exceed 125 million in the USA, 363 million worldwide. Justice League will exceed 205 million past Batman Begins, and they expect 617 million worldwide. Thor Ragnarok will exceed 300 million domestically and 830 million worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to do something they don't expect. I want you to turn out in your numbers. I want you to flex your muscles. See, this is what I believed. I could see it happening. See, hope makes you see things that other people can't see. This is the hour to show those companies, both Marvel and DC, that we the fans have power. We can sink your movie, and we can also resurrect it. I want you to flex your muscles, fans. I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're a Marvel fan. I don't care if you're a DC fan. Just flex your muscles this weekend. I don't want you to flex it again for another weekend. You don't have to. But I want you to flex it this weekend. I want you to show them the kind of power you have. And that they must listen to you. This weekend is a demonstration of your power. And I want you to flex it to the maximum. I want you to defy every single thing that box office says, because they don't count you in. They count on trends. They count on patterns. They count on everything but human beings. They feel they can play games with you with rumors and all these things. Show them. Show them how powerful you really are. I've seen this happen with Suicide Squad. I've seen this happen with BVS. I wasn't there when Man of Steel was going through its woes, but I loved Man of Steel, so I didn't even care. I just went and saw Man of Steel 6 times in the cinema. Flex your muscles. It's already started happening here. Now people will say, oh, that's a minimum amount of money and blah, 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 blah. Yes and no. This has become somewhat arrested, and it's ready to go in the opposite direction because of what we, the fans, and let me tell you how many fans it was. It was less than 80 fans that started this bend in the curve. And it started on social media. Okay? Less than 80 people. That's how much power you have. And let me say something else to you, the fans. It's easy to say negative things, but it's much more powerful to be positive. A positive impact on people empowers them, and they feel the power flowing through them. And then they go on to somebody else and be positive as well. So it's very important to understand hope is a very, very important thing. It raises people's games. It makes them go beyond their expectations. It makes them do things they wouldn't normally do. To my soldiers who have been working very, very hard, I salute all of you. And I thank you. I can't say thanks enough. Keep on working on the battlefield. You know who you are. This is not about making or forcing people or forcing something down people's throats with respect to a movie. It's showing them the virtues in a movie and debunking the rumors. We didn't go out there and try to force a movie down people's throats like how the establishment tried to force Ghostbusters down people's throats. No. We tried to show them. We tried to reason with them. We went out there and did the footwork on the ground. That's how it was done. We didn't try to use our power and our clout like other people. And that's why this is a genuine change. Donald Trump, he listened to the average Joe that people counted out. He listened to the hearts of real people. He didn't try to manipulate people and lie to them. Well, he did. But first he appealed to what they needed, what they wanted. He listened to them. I hear the voice of those people who are disappointed in Justice League. That things which they would have loved to see as fans, as DC fans, were not always met. But you gotta admit, it was great seeing Superman. You gotta admit, the chemistry between our lead characters was wonderful. You've got to admit, Zack Snyder's themes flow throughout this movie from beginning to end. And they're meaningful. And they're important. But Joss Whedon does have his influence in there, especially through Danny Elfman. And I just want to say this. Danny Elfman basically summed up what Lois Lane was saying in terms of hope brings to the table possibilities. Things old return as things new. And what Danny Elfman was doing, the soundtrack of Superman was what he was using in the background while Lois Lane was narrating. When Superman was on the Kent farm. That's the music you were hearing. And Danny Elfman recalled things old back to the table. And it was beautiful because everything came full circle. He didn't discard Hans Zimmer. He didn't discard elements that Junkie XL had in there. He used some of them. He even pulled from Matrix Reloaded, another Warner Brother film. He pulled from different places. Yes, Batman's theme was all over the movie. But at the end of the day, you know, Danny Elfman did the best he could, and the music was appropriate to each situation. Would I have preferred if Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer was doing it? Yeah, but come on. It is a different director that comes into play, and he's bringing somebody who he can work with. So I understand. See, I didn't get outraged when I saw certain things because I know it's not the same director on board now. It's a different director. But once that director keeps with the themes, with the focus, with the tone of the original director, then I'm okay with that. See, this movie, it didn't need to be the greatest movie of all time. And yes, some things we saw in the trailers were not in the movie, but they were secondary to the major plots of the movie. And that's why I understand how the fans feel about the advertising and how the movie turns out, because they had one kind of instrumentalist behind it. Primarily it's the instrumentalist that made the difference here, and a different instrumentalist in the movie. But Wonder Woman was the same thing. We had different kinds of sounds and movie sounds for the trailers, and the movie was different. It was orchestrated. So I just want to say this so that people will understand. You can be disappointed in a movie, but sometimes in your disappointment, you overlook all the good things in that movie. And it takes a moment going back into the movie without all those high, lofty expectations to actually watch the movie for what it was telling you. And the second time around, a lot of people enjoyed the movie. 9 out of 10 people who saw this movie enjoyed it. 9 out of 10. That's the statistics. And the interesting thing about this movie is you could bring little children to the movie for the most part, even though it's rated PG-13, and they could enjoy it. Kind of like what happened with Wonder Woman. The only thing that has been blown out of proportion and a big deal is this behind-the-scenes stuff, which is rumors. They're not factual. If they were factual, it's a different story, but all of them are just a bunch of rumors. They're not validated. Nobody's confirming them. How can you be outraged off of rumors? So what if Iris West was not inside of the movie? She was an ancillary character, a side note to Barry Allen's history. That's all she was. Volko wasn't that important to the movie. That's why it was cut out. Now, if you want to see a Snyder cut of this movie, then you have to support it, buddies. Because WB ain't going to fork out no more money to give Zack Snyder to finish off a cut. They're not going to do it unless they got surplus to do so. It's common sense. And you can get a Snyder cut. You have that power to do it, but you've used your power in the wrong way. This fake outrage is helping no one. It's not helping you. It's not helping the DCEU, which Zack Snyder was one of the founders of. It's not helping the DCEU fans who enjoyed this movie, who you're spitting on. It's not helping Warner Brothers. It's not helping anyone except the detractors of this universe. Because you've become hopeless. You've given up. You don't have hope in you. You throw your hands up in the air and you start to cry like a baby. Instead of being hopeful and pushing for a Zack Snyder cut while embracing this movie for what it is. I've heard a number of people make constructive criticism saying, once again, WB still hasn't done their lesson, that they shouldn't cut short movies. A shorter movie does not equal more money. That is a valid statement. But when we have outrage, oh, WB did Zack Snyder wrong, blah, 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 blah. Come on now. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't hear Marvel fans doing that, do you? Why are you doing that? They're proud of their properties. If their properties make a boo-boo, they say it, but they don't blast it all over the world. And they don't bash down their own. Why are you doing that? If you are a DCEU fan, then you'd want to see the DCEU go on. So when Dave the Film Junkie did what he did, and Film Gob did what he did, I was disappointed in both of them. More so Film Gob, because Film Gob is a guy who I know to be someone who has integrity. So I did not expect it from Film Gob. I expected it from somebody maybe like Dave the Film Junkie, because he says he likes Marvel and DC, and he said he likes Thor Ragnarok, which is okay. Maybe he likes comedy. I don't like comedy per se. I'm not a hee hee ha ha kind of person. And neither is Film Gob, even though he does videos where he uses humor. And I will say to Film Gob, go rewatch the movie again. But judge it on its merits. It's one director taking over from another director. You cannot get an exact copy of a director's vision. He's not a robot. Joss Whedon is Joss Whedon. He's going to have to do what he does. And then again, for people to be so hard on the people who were the VFX, at least early in this movie showing, for Henry Cavill's lip, is ridiculous. It's petty. Because even the first time I saw it, which was a little bit jarring, I was taken by the story and I was gripped by what Superman was saying. But if you're a petty person, well, it is what it is. I can't help that one. But it has been improved. It's not the way how it was. I'm hopefully going to see this movie in IMAX over this weekend, and I'm going to try and bring some people with me. I don't have the money to do it right now, but by Sunday I hope to have that money. But I want to tell you guys something else. This is an exercise and a lesson in something I want you guys to understand. No matter if you're the last person standing and you're not popular, your opinion is not popular at all, and people are bad-mouthing you and you're taking a lot of punishment for it. If what you're saying is true, stick to it. Be principled. Alright? I took a beating. I've taken a beating for BVS. I've taken a beating for Suicide Squad. When you're in the front lines, don't ever expect it to be easy. Don't ever expect it. If you're a trailblazer like Zack Snyder is, don't ever expect people to love you. You have to be motivated from the inside. And we fought hard through this week. I fought through all kinds of things. We're still dealing with all kinds of issues online. But I fought hard. I gave it my all. I held back nothing because I believed and I hoped. And I'm not going to stand idly by and watch something like this just go down in flames without a fight. And we're not done, guys. We'll still have less than $400 million left to get. And we're going to get it. We're going to get every cent. And the only thing that's going to stop us is Warner Brothers pulling this movie from the cinemas. And if they do, I have a measure to take. I'm going to have a petition against them. Then I'm going to attack the people in Warner Brothers. And I'm going to say, what are you doing? There are people who want to see this movie in the cinema. Put it back out. We're going to fight them. Because this movie is something that is too important to just idly go by. It represents too much. I feel a connection to it. I feel a passion for it. I cannot sit idly by and watch the world burn. Not this time. Not this time. And so, if you guys feel the same way, we're going to keep on going. We have, after this weekend, we'll have 6 more weekends, and we'll have 7 more weeks. Okay? So we're in this for the long haul. I don't care if Star Wars is playing. I will go and watch Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to not patronize Star Wars. But I will be in this for 6 more weekends and 7 more weeks. And this film will stay that long in cinemas. I'm telling you, I'm not going to lay down. I'm not going to lay down on this movie. I'm sorry. If everybody else wants to lay down, that's your problem. But not me. I'll be there for the long haul. I'm committed to going all the way. In Man of Steel, Jarrell said, test your limits. I'm about to test all of mine. Mentally, spiritually, and physically. We're going to go the whole 9 yards. And if you're with me, then you know we fighting this thing down. I don't care if Warner Brothers don't believe in this film. I do. I put out my money for this film. I do. Those of you with me, we about to do it. We about to go into the trenches. By the way, things are turning a little bit in the direction we wanted to go. But this weekend, man, make your voice felt. Make your voice felt. And let Warner Brothers know, without a shadow of a doubt, because they had already given up. Let them know, without a shadow of a doubt, that the fans, we run this joint. The fans run this joint. And this is very important. If all the fans was against this movie, they were dead. But it just so happens some of the fans are for this movie. And that's the big difference. See, it's easy to be negative and against something without cause. And you're effective for a time. But if that thing in itself has value, and those people who are for it understand that value, you're going to lose in the long run. I don't care what you say, because your lies are going to show up. So, ladies and gentlemen, we know we're standing on the right side of the fence of history. We know the critics are wrong. This film is going to prove that. And we know what we need to do. It's very simple. Express yourself. Share. Educate. Inspire. And that's all you have to do over and over again. And this film will make $1 billion. No matter what trend says what. Be proactive. That goes for in politics. That goes for in your life, in your family, in your communities. Get up. You don't need money to be proactive. All you need is a heart, courage, hopefulness, inspiration, and you can do wonders. Don't forget what this movie stands for, and don't forget where it began in Man of Steel. And we see the manifestation of what Jarrell told Kal-El all the way back then. And notice I said Jarrell told Kal-El. I didn't say Jarrell told Clark. You guys have a great one.